What's up guys, to the next part of the hack and slash tutorial series. In this video we're going to cover the dodging system. So if I hit my left shift button, I'll dodge forward. As you can see, there was that bit of running. That's because my character movement component kicks in and starts to slow my character down, as the animation does contain root motion. I cut off that stop part of the animation so my character doesn't decelerate from the animation, and so if I dodge, I can transition to my run quite smoothly. We'll also implement a rotation system where your character will automatically rotate towards the direction you're moving in. So if I'm currently facing forward and I hit my backwards key and my dodge input, so there will be S and shift, I'll snap backwards and I'll dodge in that direction. As you can see. So if as you can see, we will also implement consecutive dodging. So if I hit my left shift button a lot of times, I'll consecutively dodge. We'll also implement dodge canceling. So if I attack and hit shift, I'll dodge out of my attacks. Same for heavy. We'll also implement a system where, or I should say we already implemented a system that allows our character to dodge and curve its dodge if the player holds down certain inputs while dodging. So if I'm dodge left and I will change my input, you can see the character curve a little bit. As you can see that little bit of curve. So you see this in like Nier Automata. It's probably one of my favorite systems in the game. And so if you guys want the project files for yourself, join me on Patreon. And so without further ado, let's get started. So welcome back to the next part of the tutorial series. In the last episode video, we covered the heavy attack system, so we can iterate through our entire heavy attack system, and we added trails to all our attacks, including our light attack. Our heavy attack also got some trails. And so in this video we're going to start working on our dodging system, and let's start by opening up our player blueprint. Before we start, let's actually organize this a little bit. It's getting quite messy here in the event graph. So I'm gonna make some comments here. Now, if you don't like your comments being white, there is a settings you can change. If you go to editor preferences and you search for comment, there should be a default comment node. We're gonna make that black and save all. Now if I hit comment, it's black comment now. Now I'm going to color code these, so it's going to be a bit easier to distinguish them. So red's going to be my light attack events. So we're going to move that aside here. And so with that being said, I'm actually going to keep this back to white. And so as long as we can distinguish the other colors, so as you can see red here, it will indicate that's light attack, and then for our other systems we're gonna have other colors. It'll be easier to quickly find them. You can also just select all this and encapsulate into a comment, but I found this new way of doing it and it looks a lot nicer than having big rectangle boxes of code. So I'm gonna copy this, just gonna change the name here. Should be a light attack event. Here in the reset state, we're gonna move this all down a little bit and then move our reset state up right here. For this one, I'm gonna use a black comment. It's gonna be black. And then just name this reset state event. That should be good. Select these two, move it up a little bit, and then we'll select these two and we're gonna move it over like that. Now for our buffer system, we're gonna make a color for this as well. So I'm gonna keep this down here for now, as this is pretty much a done function. There's nothing much we need to do with this function except for using it. So right here we're gonna make a comment called buffer event, and we're just going to give it a color, maybe right here. Not sure what color that is, but it should help distinguish the two. Let's move this down a little bit. And we're gonna give this a comment. Call it heavy attack input event. Give it a color right here. Would make it really easy to distinguish it. And then we're gonna paste that down here as well. Spread this down a little bit, just to give it some breathing room. Nice, so for now, that should be fine. We're gonna add our event for our dodging right in the middle here. So we need to add an input. Let's head over to our input folder and make an input action. Call this I_dodge. And we're also going to add the triggers. Pressed, we're just gonna have press trigger. Now, why did this? Let's delete this and remake it. Not sure what I pressed earlier. Not sure if it will affect anything, but better be safe than sorry. Add a trigger, pressed, and boom. Now we need to add that to our input mapping. I'm gonna make mine a shift, so I'm gonna bind it to shift, and then dodge. Save all. Now we can close out of this and our preference editor. And here we're going to search for our dodge, I_dodge. So similar to the state here, to our light attacks, we can also make a system where we save the input so the player will do consecutive dodges. It might be something you want, it also may be something you don't want. For action games, typically you have a save input system, but not all do. But I'm going to implement one, but if you don't want it, you can actually skip all this. It would just simply be a branch to a function like can attack, and then it plays the animation. If you want to save input, we're just gonna replicate the format here. So since I want some input saved here, we're gonna make a boolean function, call it b_dodge saved. And for these heavy attacks, let's put it in their own category. So attack. Put these in their own category to help organize them better. Let's do the same for these ones here. To heavy attack. Everything in. So for can attack, can actually stay in the attack. There we go. So right here we can do a branch. And so you can do this in many different ways. Now here, we in our attack input, our light attack input, and our heavy attack input, we only checked if we are in the attacking state. Now when we are working with the dodge, if the player hits the input for the dodge, you can cancel that animation, the attack animation, or any type of animation with the dodge. And so instead of just having like the dodge function or the dodge state in this array, we're gonna add every state in which we could possibly cancel our animation. So I want my player to be able to cancel their attack animations, so I'm going to add the attacking state here. I'm also going to want the player to cancel their own dodge animations and perform another dodge. Of course, we're gonna have to, system's gonna need a lot of balancing, as canceling animations gonna make it pretty easy and could be hard, but depending how you implement the system, how you balance it out, it can be real good. Similarly to our attacks, we're going to need a separate function that actually does the dodging. So make custom event, call it dodge, and simply call dodge. If I can spell, there you go. Just like our attack functions, we're gonna need another function called can_dodge. It's pretty much the same setup, so let's go and copy our can attack. Copy all of this. and we can paste it in here. Similar to our attack, we don't want to be able to dodge if we're in the attacking state, we don't want to dodge if we're in the dodging state, and we don't want to dodge if the player is dead. We will actually modify this a little bit with the saved dodge input. We can clear our states. If we're in like the attacking state, we can clear. If we're in the dodging state, we can clear. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So for now, let's get the system up and running first. So here, this is just going to return. It's going to be a pure function. And off of this custom event, search for a branch. And we're going to call our function and plug it in. If we can, we just simply want to set the state and play an animation. You could just make a function like perform dodge if you have multiple different types of dodge. If you want like directional dodging, that might be helpful in this type of case. But since I'm just going to do a simple dodge, I think I can just get away with just calling the play animation here and set the state here. So dodge, set state, and play animation. Now I'm actually going to promote this to a variable and call this dodge montage. Just so that if we ever need to change our animations, we don't have to look for this node, we can just look for the variable. It's a lot easier that way. I'm going to head over to my asset pack. In the sort animations, I should have a dodge. Right here, dash. I'm going to be using a dash in this series. So am_dodge. Make sure root motion is enabled. Let's modify some things here. First things first, I'm going to modify the blend time. And then we obviously going to need a reset state here. Reset state and I'm notify. I'm also going to cut off a little bit here, so maybe around 0.9, 0.9, or maybe just 1. Let's test out 1 for now. We might need to tweak that a little bit. And we're going to compile this and then plug in this animation here. And dodge. So now if I hit left shift, we should dodge. There it is. Now it feels a bit stiff, especially with the startup and the end. So we can actually lower that, maybe drop that down to like 0.1, 0.2 maybe. And here we're gonna drop that down to 0.9. So let's see how that feels. Okay, feels a lot more responsive, but that ending is still quite long. We're gonna change the mode and just switch this back to 0.25. Maybe that will help. Nope. We're gonna need to shorten it even longer more. Let's try 0.6. It's probably gonna be, that's probably too short. Okay, let's see. Let's drop that to 0.7. A lot of tweaking values here. It's part of the process. There you go. Seems like that. Now, when I hit the shift button, my player will play the dodge and then he goes into some sort of, he starts running a little bit before coming to a stop. That's just part of the locomotion and how I have it set up in the player character. I could fix that by changing the deceleration. The deceleration walking, and then we can also change the deceleration factor, which even slows it down even more. But I kind of like this. It kind of looks a bit more realistic, as if you dash, you're gonna need to slow down some way or another. Since I don't have that stop animation parts of the dodge, having that bit of extra run looks kind of cool, personally. Anyways, if you don't want it, you can either fix the character movement here by changing the deceleration, or you can just add back that part of the animation. But I kind of like it, so I'm going to keep it that way. Now the next thing is having the character be able to dodge depending on input. As you can see, I can't dodge in whatever input I'm pressing. Change that a little bit. To 0.5. Okay. 0.2. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this dodge animation to look and feel pretty good. Okay. Okay, I think I like this for now. We're gonna keep that for now. I don't think I'll be messing with it, so let me close that down before I do. And so like I was saying, the character isn't rotating towards the direction that the input direction that we are pressing. And so there is a couple ways to do this. First things first, we're going to add that allow root motion rotation to the animation. So the character can dash and move in any direction they want by changing the direction of their movement. So right around here, it's going to be quite long as this one we want the player to be able to maneuver in whichever direction. So if I dash, you can see that I had a bit of curve there. That's thanks to that animation montage. I'm able to, that animation notify, I'm able to actually curve my movements while playing this animation. You see this a lot in like Nier Automata, where you actually can do this. So the next thing we're gonna do is actually just have the character snap to the rotation. So we're going to make a function for that. Or we can actually do it here. Actually, yes, we'll do it here. So right here, we're gonna make another function before we plug anything in. Call this get desired rotation. And this will return a F vector or a rotator, my bad. So it's gonna return a rotator. Call this return value. And so the way this is going to work, we're going to do a select rotator. So here we're going to grab our character movement. We're going to get last input vector. And we're going to check something here. We can either check if it is not equal to 0, 0, 0. If that is the case, we will select our A, which is going to be this one up here. We're going to get the rotation from X vector, so get rotation from X vector. Rotation from X vector. That should be our A, and for B, we're just going to leave that empty. Actually, for B, we could, so this will allow us to rotate the character into whatever direction we're moving in, instead of having this root rotation thing. Now you can do this in a couple of ways. We can either have the character snap into the input direction if your character is targeting or not. I think I'm going to have it like that, where the character will snap to the movement direction if he's targeting and not. But since we don't have a target system yet, I'm going to show you another way you can actually implement this. So this will allow you to snap to the character, and this over here will allow you to rotate in it. I think we can just leave that alone. So right here, we should just leave this. We can just return this value itself. And we can actually just have our character rotate if this value is valid. So actually we're going to need that select value. So if this is not equal, if this is not equal to 0, then we should get the rotation. Okay. Now we're going to go back to our event graph, and we're going to do a branch here. And we're going to set our character rotation. So set character rotation. And then we're going to plug in false to false here. False pin down continue if it is true, which is the get desired rotation. This is going to be a pure function. And what we're checking here is if our rotation, the return value of that function, returns to something besides 0. Because if we have an input, then that means this value will be some other value than 0, 0. If not, we will get a 0, 0. So if we do have a 0, 0, we just dodge forward or whatever direction our character's in. If we do have an input, we should rotate into that input first. So if we do, we can just plug that in here and pull that down. So let's give that a try. So if I hit play, If I just hit shift, I should just dash forward. Perfect. I should dash to my left if I just press shift. Awesome. So if I'm moving this direction and I switch directions, I should be able to dash still. So if I'm facing this direction, hold W, there you go. So if I'm facing this direction and I hit left and then I hit my shift, should just move in that direction. Very nice. So you don't actually see that whole character turn into that direction. I just instantly snap towards that direction and then dodge. So I can dodge forward still. And then if I start to attempt to move backwards and I can hit shift, it will automatically rotate my character in the right direction. So go, there we go, there we go. Nice, so it's working perfectly. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if you want your character to have this root motion thing active, if the character is not targeting, I can show you that later, but I covered that system in another video or in my older videos for sure. This new system, it will allow this rotations to still be active even if you play even if you're targeting. So you get this rotation based on input and you get that snapping as well. Personally, I think that's a very good system, as you can now dash into any direction regardless if you're targeting or not, and you also get that ability to curve your dodge, which is nice too. And so with that out of the way, we're going to work on that dodge buffering system. This is still part of the dodge. We haven't got to the dodge buffering yet. So right here, just like our other functions, we're going to make another function called save dodge. And just like our save light attacks and save heavies, it's going to be pretty much the exact same setup, just we need to change some variables and whatnot. So let's try. So here we're going to check the is dodged saved. I'm actually going to change this as well. Now here's what I was talking about. If the character is in the attacking state, I want to be able to clear the state and then dodge. So let's change this to attempt to dodge. I spelled that wrong, really bad. There you go. So you can just call it dodge. Now here, if the character is in the attacking state, we should reset the state and then attempt to dodge. Why did I say attack dodge? There you go. Attempt to dodge. And so since the state is no longer in the attacking state, it should pass the can dodge function. But if it's in any other state, we shouldn't be able to. So here we also want to add the dodge, as I want to be able to cancel my own dodge animations with another dodge. Same idea, I want to be able to cancel my attack animations with the dodge, but I won't be adding my death animation here, or my death state, as I don't want to be able to dodge if I'm in the death state. So I'm going to remove that array element. And that should be it for this. Now we just need to make an anim notify state or an anim notify, but I'm going to show you the anim notify way, as it's a lot more nicer to have, especially for action games where delays is quite often. So here we're gonna grab a saved heavy, call it ans underscore save dodge. Open this up. Very simple thing. We just need to change this to save dodge. Now we can add this to our dodge animation. So let's open, make another track, and save dodge. Probably near the recovery frames, so right around here. Now if we give that a shot, we should be able to dodge cancel. There you go. Now I might want to shorten that just a little bit, down to 45. How does that feel? Yeah, that feels pretty good. Now we also can add this anim notify to all our attack animations, and we can also get that dodge cancel functionality for our attacks as well. So let's add another track. Let's paste this in. And typically dodges can happen probably before or after the saved and notify state. I guess I can have it maybe around here, so maybe around 70. You can play around with these values, just trying to get a rough idea, and you would always have to test these out just to make sure that it's working the way you want it to work. Around here. For the last attack in the heavy attack, I might actually have it further out, like maybe around here. And all we need to do is do the same thing for a light attack. So let me grab our light attack, bring this up, put this up here. Let's add another track and add our random notify state. So maybe around 50. Same thing. Five. Nice, so let's give this a shot. We should be able to dodge cancel our animations, our attack animations. So if I attack, there you go. You can see that I dodge cancel my attacks. Now one thing I would like to do is clear and reset our attack animations or our attack variables before we dodge. So if we pass this and we rotate, after we pass this, we should clear our attacks. So reset our light attacks, reset heavy, and then we'll also want to reset light. So we want to plug this in. Let's move all these aside. Doesn't matter which order you plug it in, as long as it gets plugged in and get called. You should be good. So now if we attack and we spam the attack and we actually hit shift, the light attack input will be, the input saved for a light and heavy attack will be cleared, and it will prioritize dodging. Now you can also do the same if you change your mind about dodging and decide to attack instead. You can also clear the dodge variables before the attack. And speaking about our dodge variables, we should also have, we don't need a function for it. We can just call this here. So out here at the very end, here we can just clear it. Clear this value, so clear dodge input. And then here in these functions, clear attack. And let's make our own category for dodging. Call this dodge. Put this in here. Perfect. Attack. So let's move all these functions in and organize them all. Now my attack functions are oddly not in the right places. Light, and then we should have heavy. There we go. So now we have a light, heavy, and can attack. Now let's add some comments here so we can distinguish our dodge and dodge functions. This down. Let's move this down lower. This lower down. Let's make a comment here and call it dodge. And let's give it a color, maybe like purple, pinkish. Copy this, that, and reset here as well. Perfect. So let's give this one more try. We can dodge in any direction we have our input in. We can also curve our dodges, so if we change input while dodging, we can change our directions. We can also dodge cancel our animations. Nice. Because we'll change multiple dodge together. Yeah, so everything seems to be working. We set up our dodging animations and everything. I'll see you in the next one.